All right, everybody, welcome into the high noon stream. Excuse me, still kind of battling my throat thing here. I am Pugs Moran. This is the high noon stream. We do this every Monday through Friday at noon. What is this? Well, it's a nice little look at the day, whatever is happening today. We tell you all the headlines, the current events, the hot topics, the trends, whatever it is that people are buzzing about. We give it to you right here at noon every day. My shirt does not seem to be buttoned up properly. Showing a little bit of skin there. Not sure I'm good with that. Camera's also a little bit off. There we go. Try and get the camera looking good. All right. So, here's what I'll tell you about. I'm not sick. Like, remember a couple of weeks ago, I had the corona and I had that and I was sick. And then I felt like, really lethargic for a bunch of days after that. And I'm fine. And I'm fine now. I'm not sick at all. But I have this throat thing. And it's not like it's not like I'm not sick. Like, I don't feel sick. I could go shoot hoops in the driveway if I wanted to. I have energy. I'm fine. It's just I have this weird and I wonder if it has something to do with it's in my throat. It's like, ugh, I don't know. So my throat isn't feeling all that strong. So I might sound strange to you, but I promise you, I ain't sick. I'm totally fine. Hear that? Listen, this has been going on for like 3 days now, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. It's, you know what it's got to be. What is it? Oh my God. It's okay. Here's the problem. It's 52 degrees currently where I am. 52 degrees. Now you'd think, well, that seems pretty nice for February, especially when you're considering that most of the country's getting their ass kicked right now by a bad winter weather storm. That's not bad for 54. We just went up to 54. So things are getting better. Look at that optimism. All right. So yeah, 54 is nice, but it was like 84 yesterday. I think that's what's going on with my voice. I think that it's all like, there's all this junk and the differences in humidity. I don't know. Anyway, bear with me. I just feel the need to make that all clear right from the outset, just so none of you sit around going, I wonder if he knows his voice sounds like crap. Yeah, I know. I know my voice sounds like crap. You people can't hurt me with those criticisms. All right, so what is today? Today is a day, the show, High Noon. What we do here is we tell you all the things that are happening in the world. I try to get you prepped up. This is a very utilitarian show, if you choose to use it as such. This can inform you as to all of the stupid things that people are talking about. We don't do politics. We don't do any of that divisive stuff. I don't give a shit how you voted or who you support. As a matter of fact, don't bring that stuff around here. We talk about all the other things. We talk about non-divisive shit. Do we get into culture wars? Yeah, sometimes, because that stuff's fun. That stuff's just fun. And I know that, it sort of dances on a razor's edge between what is and what isn't political, but whatever. Everything seems to be political in this world. My point is this. We don't just advocate for one point of view. We like to look at it all. And honestly, I'll give you my hot takes, who I am. I'm a very complicated guy. I think some ways about some things and other ways about others. It's just, I think we're all like that. And yesterday I talked a little bit about how we're all so in the middle. We really are. Most people one-on-one are in the middle, but we've been forced over the past 20 years to choose a team. Like this is like college football or something. Like I'm team blue, I'm team red. So this show kind of attempts to just, hurdle all of that nonsense and just talk about other things and try and connect on real, reasonable issues that, normal people should all agree on. So that's what this show aims to do. Doesn't try to divide, tries to unite and inform, gives you nice little bite-sized pieces of all the news that you need to know about today. But before we do that, before we get into the subjects of the day, the trends and all those things, we like to tell you about what this day has meant. So we go through the history. We talk about some of the people who were born on this day. We talk about those contributions they may have made. And then we mourn some of the passings, people, the ones who deserve it anyway, because bad people die every day. Try to remind you that not everybody who dies needs to be sanctified. Not everybody who dies needs to be pearl clutched and, the world is a worse place. No, sometimes the world is made a better place when people die. And we cover those as well. So let's get started. Let me tell you all about today. Today is High Noon, for the 23rd day of February, year of our Lord, 2023. It is the 54th day of the year. In the Gregorian calendar, I don't know what kind of calendar you're using, but I use the Gregorian calendar. And there's 54 days left in the year, or 54 days into the year, I should say. 311 left. 311. That's it. 311 more days for you to get those New Year's Eve plans started. All right, on this day, excuse me, see the throat. It's weird. I'll silence my mic. I don't know if that did anything, but we'll try. On this day, going all the way back, 1455. That's right. That was a year. 1455 was a year, and things happened. On this day in 1455, this is traditionally the date given for the first ever publication of the Gutenberg Bible. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Gutenberg Bible, the first westernized English version of the Bible, printed on this day. 1455. At least that's what they say. 1836, on this day in 1836, during the Texas Revolution, right here in Texas, we're very proud of our Texas Revolution. Texas Revolution, the Siege of the Alamo. It's the prelude, don't you know, to the Battle of the Alamo. Alamo as a totally different thing. The siege, though, that all started on this day in 1836. The Siege of the Alamo. The Alamo, very underwhelming. It's up there with Graceland as being places that you go to and you go, huh? So that's it, huh? That's pretty much my reaction to visiting the Alamo. Huh? That's it, huh? That's pretty much it. I saw the Alamo and I was like, eh. That's kind of my reaction to San Antonio as a whole, though. My entire, the whole San Antonio thing is very much, huh? Okay. We're here. All right. That's pretty much San Antonio to me, as opposed to Austin, which is like, all right, let's go. Or Houston, which is, ooh, who wants to get arrested tonight? There's all kinds of Dallas is another good one. Fort Worth is a good one. But, San Antonio, I was just never. And the Alamo in general, very underwhelming. On this day in 1861, President-elect Abraham Lincoln, he arrived secretly in Washington, D.C., after thwarting an alleged assassination attempt in Baltimore, Maryland. I didn't know anything about that. Did you guys know about that? Did you guys know that they tried to kill Lincoln even before he took office? I didn't know that. On this day in 1898, Émile Zola is imprisoned in France after writing J'accuse. That's the name of his book, J'accuse. A letter, which was to the French government. Hold on. Émile Zola is imprisoned in France after writing J'accuse, a letter accusing the French government of anti-Semitism and wrongful imprisonment of Captain Alfred Dreyfus. Yeah, we keep mentioning him. The Dreyfus affair is ground zero for all that Julia Louis-Dreyfus has today. That's right. They go all the way back to that big French incident, the Dreyfus affair. And it was on this day that Émile Zola, who was one of Alfred Dreyfus's chief supporters, I suppose, he was thrown in jail for basically making public the plot to accuse Alfred Dreyfus of selling secrets to the Germans. Oh, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It's steeped in anti-Semitism and it's steeped in let's blame the Jews, that whole thing. And because we all love Julia Louis-Dreyfus, it's her family story. On this day in 1927, U.S. President Calvin Coolidge signs a bill by Congress establishing the Federal Radio Commission. It's later replaced by what we now know as the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC. The FCC... FCC. I'm pro FCC. The FCC is important. See, you have to remember what the FCC is. So we're going to let you, Rupert Murdoch, Ted Turner, or whoever you rich guys are that want to own a bunch of TV stations, we're going to let you make money off of creating content and then putting it in the living rooms of the American citizenry. We're going to let you do that. You're going to be allowed to do that because this is American. It's capitalism. But how are you going to deliver? This is the FCC. How are you going to deliver that content that you produce? And how are you going to put it in living rooms? And that's when the company said, well, we're just going to put it through the airwaves. And the FCC said, aha! And this is where we have our issue. See, those airwaves aren't yours. You can't just use those airwaves to make all kinds of money. Those airwaves belong to the people of the United States of America. Those are public airwaves. So we're going to let you do it, but we're going to make sure that you don't, try to overthrow the government and stuff like that. And that's what the conceit of the FCC was. That's what they're there for. They're there to make sure that these people who are using our public, we don't realize that we own these airwaves. These people are making all of this stuff out here, the stuff above our heads. That is being used as a highway for people to make money. And the FCC's job was to make sure that they can make money because it's American. We encourage that. However, you can't be doing anything duplicitous and you can't be screwing over the people while we're allowing you to use these airwaves. So I don't have a big problem with the FCC. I have a big problem with the FCC of the 90s and how they decided to, instead of tamp down on real troubling things like corporate greed and all that kind of stuff. No, they went after boobs. That's what they decided to make their big stand on. The FCC in the 90s decided that they were going to go after boobs and sexy talk and stuff like that. Huge waste of what that organization was supposed to be, but whatever. FCC, on this day, Calvin Coolidge essentially founded it. On this day in 1942, during World War II, Japanese submarines fire artillery shells at the coastline of Santa Barbara, California. What? On World War II, See, this has happened a couple of times. Do we know this? Like we always like they couldn't attack our shores. They did attack our shores. The Japanese attacked our shores up and down the West Coast. Like there was an attack in Washington that we learned about a couple of months back. And I'm like, we never learned about this in school. Washington State. We never learned that the Japanese Navy attacked. No, we didn't. And we didn't learn about this one either. Apparently on this day in 1942. Japanese Navy attacked Santa Barbara, California with torpedoes and missiles and fired artillery shells. Never learned that in school. Born on this day in 1945. Also during World War II, the Battle of Iwo Jima. A group of United States Marines reached the top of Mount Siribaki on the island and are photographed raising the American flag. That's the iconic Marines symbol, the flag, the Iwo Jima flag, and they're all, it's like, the picture depicts like, war is raging and they're not going to fight the war. They're raising this flag. It's very cool symbol. Very cool. 100% staged. I'm sorry, but it was staged. It was staged. It was that's not actually taken in the heat of battle. They had done it. They ran up and they put a flag up and the battle's raging and all that stuff. And they didn't get a good picture of it. So, this was propaganda. This was total propaganda. So after everything was calmed down, they just replicated the scene. But it's still a cool scene. And it was on this day. On this day in 1945, the dudes, the Marines, pushing that flag up on Iwo Jima. It was on this day that picture was staged and taken. On this day in 1954, we don't have to believe you. Look, if you just want to forget that little fun fact that it was staged and go back to just being like, yeah, that's great. That's fine. I didn't mean to piss on it. I'm just out here throwing fun facts out. Maybe that's not such a fun fact, but it was a good picture. It did its job. That picture did its job. It's a good picture. On this day in, what are we talking about here? On this day, 1954, on this day, the first mass inoculation of children against polio with the Salk vaccine started in Pittsburgh on this day. On this day, 1954. It's 2023 now. Do you know how many of those children have dropped dead since getting that vaccination in 1954? Why aren't we looking into that? Why aren't we looking into all? On this day in 1974, the Symbionese Liberation Army demands $4 million. They want that to, they got Patty Hearst. This was the Patty Hearst thing. Patty Hearst was the granddaughter of William Randolph Hearst, and one of the heirs to the Hearst media fortune. She got kidnapped. I think she was going to Stanford or something. She got kidnapped from her college apartment, and the Symbionese Liberation Army. They wanted to do big things, and they thought that they could basically fund their revolution by kidnapping the daughter of a Hearst. And they did. And they demanded all this money, and then they kept her for like a year. This is a fascinating story, the kidnapping of Patty Hearst, because the question is, at some point, did she become one of her what did she join the Symbionese Liberation Army of her own free will and accord? Did she, or was she kidnapped? And then we've heard of Stockholm syndrome and all that stuff. Was she brainwashed into believing a new way of looking at the world? And did she then you know what I mean? It's very complicated. Here's what I think. I think that they brainwashed her. And I think that she bought into it. Whatever. I mean, I don't know. I've never been brainwashed. Or maybe I have and I don't know it. Would you know if you were brainwashed? Isn't that interesting? I don't know. I think she was brainwashed. I think she was definitely into it. I've seen the movies. I've read a couple of books about it. I'm just fascinated with the whole Patty Hearst thing. I don't think she's bad. I mean, other than, she grew up like a really rich girl, and she was supposedly a mean girl. Like she was like, like a lot of her friends when she was kidnapped, they didn't all run to her to, like a lot of people were like, she's kind of a bitch. It's kind of okay. We don't really care. She's kind of a mean person. So I don't know. She had an exciting life. And then she's the most famous Hearst. She is the most famous Hearst since her granddaddy, William Randolph Hearst. So there you go. If that's your goal, there you go. On this day in 2020, Ahmaud Arbery, 25-year-old African-American citizen, is shot and murdered by 3 white men after visiting a house under construction while jogging in a neighborhood in Satilla Shores near Brunswick in Glennis County, Georgia. Yeah, those guys, we watched that trial. They all went to jail. They big dumb hillbillies. Just, hey, boy, what you doing? That was a mess. Mind your own business. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. That was on this day. That was 3 years ago. 3 years ago. All right. So that all went pretty quick, right? Yeah. When you're not a rich person and you can't like clog up the system with high-priced attorneys, your trials that got adjudicated pretty quick. 3 years. Those people are in jail. Those people have been in jail for months now. Yeah. See, that's what happens when you just have regular attorneys. When you have, like, if this was like a super high profile case, it'd be years from being settled because, the high priced attorneys, they would drag this out. And 3 years, look at that. 3 years ago that happened. Let's get into some of the birthdays. Let's talk about some of the people celebrating birthdays on this day, born on this day in 1940. Peter Fonda. Peter Fonda, American actor, director, producer, son of Henry Fonda, brother of Jane Fonda, father of Bridget Fonda, Peter Fonda. I guess he was a big actor, right? I mean, kind of like a big stoner actor. That's kind of his thing, right? I mean, I don't know what did Peter Fonda do? I mean, I can't really. Jane Fonda, I can name a bunch of Jane Fonda stuff. I can name a bunch of Bridget Fonda stuff. I can name a bunch of Henry Fonda stuff. But I'm really hard pressed to think of anything other than Easy Rider that Peter Fonda did. I mean, I know he did other stuff, but like, what is he known for? I don't know. I got to interview Peter Fonda once, and it was very cool. He was very cool. He came in and he sat down, and he was an older gentleman. He's an old guy at this point. He came in and he sat down. He's wearing Peter Fonda blue jeans and Peter Fonda blue jean denim shirt. I don't know if that's really what he was wearing, but that's what I'm imagining. And I remember he leaned back in the chair and he just started smiling and like nodding his head like an old stoner. He was just a very good interview. He was very comfortable. He was very relaxed. He was very nice. He was, I knew that he was like a big star. So, it was kind of an interesting, so I was giving him some positive welcome to the party kind of energy. So he was kind of bringing that. He was good. Peter Fonda died on this day, or born on this day in 1940. He died a couple of years ago now. Born on this day in 1951, still alive, still crushing it, I'm sure. Legend here in North Texas, Ed Too Tall Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Too Tall Jones, American football player. And he was a boxer. Remember when he tried to become a boxer? That was fun. Patricia Richardson, born on this day in 1951, Patricia Richardson. She was Jill, right? Wasn't she Tom? Not Tom. What's his name? Tim Allen. She was Tim Allen's wife on Home Improvement, right? Isn't that who she was? Patricia Richardson. Born on this day in 1952, Brad Whitford. Now, this one got complicated for me because I originally thought, oh, cool, I like Bradley Whitford. No, it ain't Bradley Whitford. It's not Bradley Whitford, the actor from Cabin in the Woods. Oh, so good in that. West Wing, Josh Lyman in West Wing. He did a bunch of stuff. I like Bradley Whitford. But I also like Brad Whitford. Brad Whitford is, of course, the guitar player. I think he's a bass player, isn't he? For Aerosmith, right? Isn't that him? Brad Whitford? I think so. It's not the other guy. That's what I'm sure of. Anyway, the rock star guy, Brad Whitford, born on this day in 1952. Born on this day in 1955, another guy, wouldn't call him a rock star, but his songs are bangers. Yeah, that's right. Howard Jones. Happy birthday to Howard Jones. Remember he kept a mime on a chain. Remember that? All his videos. Whoa, Howard Stern, Howard Jones. He had all of his videos. He had like his little sex gimp on a chain. I always thought that was weird. I'm like, what is that? When they're done with the video, what do they take the chain off, or does the chain stay on? And does he go and get chained to a radiator in Howard Jones' London apartment? I don't know. I don't know how that worked out. I just thought it was weird. Happy birthday to you, Howard Jones. Born on this day in 1962, Michael Wilton. Okay, so here's a guitar player we can mention. Queensryche. I loved Queensryche. Operation Mindcrime. Are you kidding me? That was awesome. Oh my God. Talk about one album wonders. Whatever happened with Jeff Tate? Whatever happened with Queensryche? Like, was it trouble with the band? Because they were brilliant. They were really doing interesting stuff, and then just nothing. Anyway, happy birthday to you, Michael Wilton, born on this day in 1962. Born on this day in 1965, Michael Dell. Yeah, I'm looking at one of his Dell computers right here. Oh my God, I got two Dell computers. Two of the computers that we use to run these shows are Dell. HP, I like HP myself for the just a laptop. But, the Dell, people like the Dells. I don't, the Dell sound is terrible. Like if you watch TV on a Dell laptop, the speakers are terrible. The HP speakers are so much better. Yeah, I don't know. I guess Dells are good computers. I don't know enough about computers. Here's what I know about computers. I know that if you give me 3 computers and you let me play with them for a week, I will tell you which one suits my needs best. And what I've determined in that way of doing things, HP. I like the HP computers. But happy birthday to you, Michael Dell. You made a lot of money. Austin, right? And another one of these Austin billionaire guys. Born on this day in 1969, Damon Johns. He's the FUBU guy that's on Shark Tank. Whatever. Born on this day in 1970, Niecy Nash, American actress and producer. She does a lot of stuff. It's like I can't name one thing that Niecy Nash does. Well, I guess she was in the Dahmer thing. Yeah, Niecy Nash, that was interesting. Of what I saw of the Dahmer Netflix thing, because I didn't watch the whole thing. It just got a little bit too, no thanks. A little too much. It's like, okay, all right, I get it. People are awful. I don't need to see this. So she played a dramatic role, Niecy Nash did in Dahmer. She was good in that, but mostly she's known for comedy. Oh, also, she's like a lesbian now, which, late in life, look at her. She's a flower and she's blooming, whatever. Good for her. But she wasn't a lesbian until she was like 50. And then she's like, hey, I'm a lesbian now. Good on you. Born on this day in 1976. Yeah, this is one of my favorites. This is an all-timer for me. This is somebody, you want to talk about people I have like crushes on. Oh, God. From the moment I saw her, I had a crush on her. Kelly MacDonald, born on this day in 1976. Kelly MacDonald is celebrating a birthday. She's a Scottish actress. And the first time I saw her, probably the first time you saw her, was in Trainspotting. She was the female lead in Trainspotting. She was the Scottish, Catholic school girl who was also a junkie. She was into the heroin. She had this really sort of perfect, prim and proper kind of life, but then she was dating like a junkie, and then she became a junkie. Oh, Kelly MacDonald was great in Trainspotting. Boardwalk Empire. Boardwalk Empire. She played Margaret. She played Margaret Thompson. She played the Irish immigrant lady who ended up marrying Nucky Thompson and all that. She's great. She's great. Kelly MacDonald's great. Happy birthday to her. Born on this day in 1981. Somebody else I think is great. Josh Gad, American actor, producer, and screenwriter. I don't know much from Josh Gad. He's another one, kind of like Niecy Nash, who just appears in things and he's moderately funny to very funny or whatever. However, I don't know. Whatever, it depends on the role. But he's Josh Gad is in this new HBO show called. It's not new. It's been on for 3 seasons. It's called Avenue 5. And it's sort of a sitcom about space tourism, and it's very funny. And Josh Gad is the funniest damn thing in what otherwise might be the funniest show on television. He plays this Elon Musk type character. He's the young billionaire, considered a genius innovator, when really he's just like a dumb guy who has stupid ideas, and sometimes those stupid ideas hit. Anyway, Josh Gad, happy birthday. Avenue 5, if you're not watching him on Avenue 5, you're missing out. Born on this day in 1983, happy birthday to Aziz Ansari, American comedian, actor, producer, screenwriter. He's got a lot of heat on him. He had a lot of heat on him, and then he got Me Too'd because he tried to kiss a girl after a date. But now he's back because everybody was like, yeah, that was really stupid. That was like, we shouldn't end this talented kid's career because of that. So he's back and celebrating a birthday today. Aziz Ansari. Here's another one, 1983. Born on this day in 1983. I just talked about Kelly MacDonald. Boy, oh boy, do I like this one too. She's another one of the crushes that I have. Emily Blunt, ladies and gentlemen. Emily Blunt is celebrating a birthday today. She's married to that Jim from The Office. She's the girl that got Jim from The Office, Emily Blunt. I like her. She, where I first noticed, she was in that Tom Cruise movie, right? Edge of Tomorrow. I think that's it. She's really good in that. But she was also the voice of Juliet in the animated kids movie Romeo and Juliet. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Romeo and Juliet, but I love that. You can have your Shreks, you can have you can have your Toy Stories. Give me Romeo and Juliet. I love it. First of all, I love Shakespeare. So it's like, it's teaching kids, the basic fundamental storylines of a classic Shakespeare play, which almost all romances have been based upon since. So, rom-coms, whatever, they're all based on Romeo and Juliet to some degree. So Romeo and Juliet was a cartoon about, people have gnomes in their yards. Well, it's about these two people. They live next door to each other. The Capulets and the Montagues, because it's just like Romeo and Juliet. They live next door to each other, and there's like a bit of a war going on between their lawn gnomes. And Juliet, and of course, one of the lawn gnomes falls in love with a lawn gnome on the other side of the yard, and that's the forbidden love of Romeo and Juliet, or shall I say, Romeo and Juliet. And Emily Blunt played Juliet. And I used to watch this over and over again with my kid. He loved it. We used to watch this over and over again. Had a lot of Elton John music in it. It's pretty good. It's pretty well done. But man, did I develop a crush on Juliet. Just the vocal performance of Emily Blunt as Juliet. Oh, God, she was adorable. All right, so there you have it. Emily Blunt, happy birthday to you. Born on this day in 1983. And finally, born on this day in 1994. One of them Fannings. There's a bunch of Fannings out there. There's a bunch of Mannings and there's a bunch of Fannings. Dakota Fanning was born on this day in 1994. She's like the primary Fanning, right? Isn't there another one? There's another Fanning. I don't know which one. Ichabod Fanning. I don't know. Dakota Fanning has a birthday today. Elle Fanning, right? Isn't that a person? Elle Fanning? Isn't that another actor? I don't know. So there you have it. She's got a birthday. Let's go to some deaths very quickly. Dead on this day in 1781, George Taylor. Why do I mention George Taylor dying on this day in 1781? Because it speaks to something that I was having trouble with a few weeks back. I was talking about founding fathers. Who the hell are the founding? I don't know. Like, oftentimes a name will come up and it'll be like, he was a founding father. And I'll be like, I've never heard of him. George Taylor is a founding father of the United States. Born in 1716 and died on this day in 1781. Never heard of George Taylor. No, I mean, not maybe, George Taylor, the cornerback. Whatever. I don't even know if there was a George Taylor. But you know what I mean? It's a fairly common name. I've never heard the name George Taylor in the context of a founding father. Well, we lost him today in 1781. Also lost on this day in 1848, not a founding father, but at least a name that we'd be like, okay, all right, yeah, if we're going to have a conversation about founding fathers, I could see how someone might mention John Quincy Adams. And people would go, yeah, totally founding father. No, not a founding father. He's a founding son. His father, John Adams, was a founding father, but John Quincy Adams wasn't. However, George Taylor was. Isn't that interesting? Dead on this day in 1965, Stan Laurel, English actor and comedian, one half of Laurel and Hardy. He was the tall, skinny one. Yeah, I got no hot takes on them, other than I've seen some Laurel and Hardy stuff. Is it funny? I don't know. I don't know. I guess it was easy to be funnier, but I don't know. A lot of Laurel and Hardy stuff, a lot of like Abbott and Costello stuff. I just don't get it. I'm like, they're being silly. Yeah, okay, that's silly. So but I don't know if it's not exactly, Carlin on campus up here, right? Not exactly Richard Pryor on the Sunset Strip. I think it was easier to be funny back then. I don't think people laughed much back then. And I think that like just silly stuff made people laugh. I think times were harder, maybe. We laugh. Do we laugh too much now? Is that what's wrong with America? We laugh too much. Stan Laurel, dead on this day in 1965. Dead on this day in 2003, Howie Epstein. Howie Epstein, he's not. He's nothing to do with the other Epstein. Howie Epstein was in Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. He was a bass player. And he was a very, very famous guy back in the 80s and the 90s. He showed up on everybody's albums. You'd see he kind of, you know why? You know why he kind of, okay, here's how I remember him. Because his name was Howie Epstein, and he kind of looked like Epstein from Welcome Back, Kotter. He had like that fro. He was a drug addict and a partier and a rock star, and he died on this day in 2003. Dead on this day in 2019, Katherine Hellman, American actress. She was Mona from Who's the Boss? Mona. Not the mother-in-law, but the grandma who lived there. Before that, she was Jessica Tate on Soap. If you watch Soap in the 1970s, Katherine Hellman, she was great. Mona, and how come Katherine Hellman? When Katherine Hellman died, when did she die? She died in 2019. How old was she? So she died in 2019. All right, she was 90, so she died at 90 years old. Yeah. Katherine Hellman very easily could have gotten some Betty White treatment, but I don't think she did. I don't think she got like, we love Katherine Hellman. We should have, because Mona on Who's the Boss and Jessica Tate, she did a whole bunch of other things too. I'm just talking from my generation. She was like ever present on TV, showing up on Love Boats, stuff like that. Katherine Hellman, dead on this day in 2019. All right, let's get into it. We've been through all the things that have shaped this day, the 23rd of February, over the years. Now let's get into what today is all about, shall we? Shall we jump into all of the stuff? Why not? First of all, we got a blizzard warning. Blizzard warning. Blizzard warning. Everybody, blizzard. Not here. What is it here? What is it here in North Texas? It is currently in North Texas. It was 54 degrees before. And currently it is 55. Look at us. We're up at 55 degrees. and we think it's cold, right? We're like, it's kind of cold because it was like in the 80s yesterday. But there is a blizzard that is, whoa, my God. It's, first of all, there's all kinds of power outages in the Chicago area. All kinds of power outages stretching from the Minneapolis, St. Paul area all the way down to the Ohio River Valley, but it's starting out there in California. California's been ground zero for weird weather for quite a while. Snowmaker storm of epic proportions moving into Southern California. We're getting the full brunt, says meteorologists. Southern California, Los Angeles, they're predicting a blizzard in the mountains around Los Angeles. Now, what this means on the streets of Los Angeles is maybe a dusting, but geez, this doesn't happen. It doesn't snow of any accumulation in Los Angeles. It has the potential to be a snowmaker of epic proportions. A brutal winter storm moving through California is slated to drop rain, sleet, and snow from the Oregon border down to the deserts of Mexico. Forecasters say all eyes are on Thursday through Saturday, when even Southern California could see several feet of fresh powder in the mountains around Los Angeles. The National Weather Service has issued a blizzard warning in the LA and Ventura County mountains, only the second such time a blizzard warning has been issued since 1989. It's bringing all of that cold air down to Southern California. We're getting the full brunt, said meteorologist David Sweet. All right, so we'll watch that. That'll be fun. I'm sure if you're on any social media, you'll start being inundated with people from California going, "It's snowing on Sunset Boulevard." You know, you'll see all of those things. Orange County, Florida is trending. Boy, this was a weird story. I don't know. I don't know what this story is. So whenever we have to discuss these shootings, these mass shootings or whatever, I always explain that I go into these stories with two little boxes in my head. Both boxes are open. All right. Which box am I going to put this story in? Is this going to be 5 people were shot in a backyard barbecue when a car drove by and strafed the whole party? Right. That's a certain kind of crime. That's street crime. That's the kind of crime that, I come from the south side of Chicago. That's the kind of crime that they put up with for, decades. That's not surprising. That's not shocking. And it doesn't necessarily freak me out because I've gone my whole life avoiding certain neighborhoods because we expect those kinds of things to happen. Is that right? No, we shouldn't expect any free American citizen to have to deal with that. But it is kind of how we've decided to deal with it, which is not worry about it. So there's the one box. That's the crime box, where these mass shootings are just the result of otherwise overall criminal behavior. Then there's the other box, which is the random guy, the school shooter, right? I'm going to kill everybody. The guy who walks into the Target store and just starts shooting people, right? So that's the other one. That's more random. That's more frightening because that you can't avoid that because that's just out there in everyday life. That's going to get a coffee at Starbucks. That's walking into a Target. That's going to see a movie with your kid, right? So that's a different box. So with this Orlando shooting that came out yesterday, I had almost from the beginning, I had the box opened of this is just street crime. This is a bad kid with a very long record of violent crime and drugs and, all that kind of stuff. So this seems like just some crazy kind of, but then it sort of spilled into the random thing. So I don't know if you're familiar with this story. So yesterday in Orlando, Florida, at about 11 o'clock in the morning, police responded to a homicide in the street. Hyacinth Drive was the street in Orlando. So a woman had been shot and killed in her car in the street. So the police respond. There's a homicide. They're investigating this homicide. The guy got away. Whoever the person was that did the shooting got away. So now they're looking for this guy, and it's just a single murder. 5 hours go by. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the crime scene where the murder had occurred. The crime scene is now filled with police and they're taping it off and there's helicopters overhead and a crowd of people have gathered and there's news crews on the scene, right? So now the news crews have shown up. This is 4 or 5 hours after the initial crime. So at this point, the shooter of the first person shows back up on the scene to watch, hey, what's going on here? And at this point, he shoots and murders a television news reporter in Orlando and critically wounds the news reporter's cameraman. Okay. So boom, he shows up like 5 hours later and now he's just randomly killing people. I don't know what the first thing was about. There were reports that he knew the victim. So that may have been. So what happened? So he loses his shit. He kills, by the way, it's a 38-year-old woman that he killed. It was originally reported that it was a 20-year-old woman. It wasn't 38. It's 38. So he shoots and kills this woman in the car, then disappears for 4 hours, then shows back on the scene and shoots and kills a news reporter and the news reporter's cameraman. He then flees the scene, runs into a nearby house, shoots the mother in the nearby house and the 9-year-old little girl in the nearby house. 9-year-old little girl dies. So now we've got 3 dead. We've got the news reporter who was dead at the scene. We've got the person who he murdered in the street. And now he's killed a 9-year-old girl and again, critically injured the mother. I don't know what that's about. He doesn't seem to know. He doesn't seem to know the random people in the house, the little 9-year-old girl that he shot and killed. He doesn't seem to know her. He doesn't know the news person. They're not even sure that he was aware that it was a news person. So in the beginning with this story, I had the open box that said, oh, this is just crime. This dude's a criminal. Look at him. There's some people, maybe a drug deal went bad. He shot somebody in a car. That's what this looks like. But then you start adding in like a random news reporter and a news journalist, and then he runs into a house and he randomly kills a woman. I mean, my God, it doesn't get any more random than somebody kicking in your front door in the middle of the afternoon and shooting your 9-year-old dead. That you can't protect against that. So I don't know what box to put this one in. I don't know if this is a dude who just, he got himself in a situation where he shot and killed somebody in the heat. He lost his shit in the heat of an argument. And then it all what? Then he just decided, I'm just going to go kill a bunch of people. And then it sort of became this whole other thing. So I don't know. A Florida journalist and a 9-year-old girl were gunned down Wednesday afternoon by a suspect wanted in an earlier fatal shooting at the same scene. 2 others were also wounded, including a second Spectrum News 13 journalist. In the 4 p.m. gunfire on Hialeah Street in Orlando, Orange County, the unthinkable horror began around 11 a.m. when the suspected gunman, 19-year-old Keith Melvin Moses, allegedly shot and killed a 20-year-old woman sitting in a car on the street. She wasn't 20. She was 38. She was originally reported as 20. I don't know how they got that, but she was 38. Moses allegedly then returned to the scene 5 hours later and fired rounds at a Spectrum News 13 crew who were there reporting on the initial homicide. Both a News 13 reporter and photographer who were in and nearby their news van were shot. 24-year-old reporter, identified by family early Thursday as Dylan Lyon, has died. The photographer was hospitalized in critical condition. Let's see here. Shortly after Moses is the suspect. Shortly after, Moses allegedly stormed into a house on Hialeah Street where he shot a 9-year-old girl and her mother. The child died of her injuries in the hospital while her mother is fighting for her life. Officers arrested Moses following the latter shootings and confirmed that he was also a suspect in the slaughter of the 20-year-old woman. She's not 20, she's 38. He was charged with 1 count of murder for the morning killing and is expected to face further charges for the second and third shootings. He was armed with a handgun, which officers believe is the murder weapon, when apprehended by police. At 19, he had a lengthy criminal history, including gun charges, aggravated battery, and assault. We've got to look at this guy. Let you get a look at him. Look at this piece of shit, this piece of human garbage out there just... Well, boom, boom, boom. Here. All right, so here's the young man who died. This is, here's the news reporter who died. All right, we're getting a look at him. 24-year-old Orlando TV news reporter, covering a murder, ends up getting killed by the murderer. Here he is. Look at him. Oh, look at this dumb fuck. Look at him. Oh, yeah. He did it. That's the guy. 19 years old. Hopefully he'll... I don't know. They have the death penalty in Florida. So that Nick Cruz kid doesn't seem to be getting the death penalty. Whatever. This dude, 19 years old. You're going to spend the next 50 years easy in prison. You're going to come out of prison a hard man. Your life is over. Here's, look at him here. Look at him here. He looks like he's smirking. Shot and killed a 9-year-old little girl. Shot and killed a 9-year-old little girl. Just killed her in her house. Comes bursting through the door. Little girl's running. He probably... I don't even want to think about it. Piece of shit. All right. The Orlando story. That's why people are talking about Orlando. What else is trending? That story makes me mad. It makes me mad because I don't understand it. Because like I said, when I originally started talking about it, I need to compartmentalize these instances of violence. I need to start off by putting them in a box and then dealing with that box independently of how I might deal with the other box. And this guy confuses me. I don't get it. Moldova. You ever heard of Moldova? Yeah. It's a real country. I'm not making it up. It's a real country, and now it seems to be next on Vladimir Putin's hit list. Here's what he's doing. So he wants Moldova. He wants to go into Moldova now. I mean, why not? Double down, right? I mean, he's at that point in the blackjack game where he's gonna split his cards. He's gonna go for broke. Things aren't going well for him in Ukraine, so now he's going to start up another front. He's going to go into Moldova. Russia drops ominous warnings about attack on second country. Moldova dismissed claims made by Russian Defense Ministry on Thursday that Ukrainian saboteurs were prepping a false flag attack on pro-Russian breakaway regions in the country of Moldova. So here's what Russia is saying. Russia is putting out there, hey, you guys, just be on the lookout because a bunch of Ukrainian bad guys have stolen Russian military uniforms and they're about to invade Moldova because they want everybody to think that Russia's invading Moldova, but we ain't invading Moldova. Those are really just Ukrainian saboteurs trying to make us look bad. All right, so that's what Russia's saying. Here's the problem. Back in the start, 1 year ago, tomorrow, the 1 year anniversary of the start of the Ukraine war, that's what they said about Ukraine. They said initially that the invasion was being done by Ukrainian saboteurs, that it wasn't the actual Russian army. And then that story fell apart rather quickly because, the international news media were able to basically figure out that, no, this is full-throttle Russian military attack. These are not saboteurs who stole some uniforms. This is not like some episode of Hogan's Heroes where, they pull off some. No. So that's the problem with this Moldova thing, is that Russia's saying the exact same thing about Moldova that they said about Ukraine. And, people are like, oh, geez, here we go. This is how he does it. This is how he invades a country. He warns that the country might be invaded by people dressed as Russians, but it's not really Russians. It's not really us. We live in a silly world. Yeah, we do. Hey, Alex Murdaugh is trending. We haven't been talking a lot about Alex Murdaugh. We talked a lot about Alex Murdaugh about a year ago on the nighttime show. Alex Murdaugh is that crazy, drug-addicted, from a super powerful family, attorney, law guy in South Carolina that apparently killed his whole family. I don't know about killing his whole family. Yeah, he's on trial now for killing his wife and his kid. If you watched any of there's a whole bunch of documentaries on Alex Murdaugh. It's like the trial is anticlimactic for me. I haven't really been following the trial all that much because it just seems I know everything. This dude's guilty. All right, I'll wait. I'll wait and see what the jury says. He's guilty. I expect the jury to acquit him. I really do. I think they're going to blow this. But yeah, I think that's kind of the reason why I haven't been following this. I think he's going to get off. And I think he so deserves not to get off. I mean, he just seems like such a bad guy. Anyway, he's trending because he took the stand today. Here, we got some video of old Alex Murdaugh taking the stand. Let's see what he has to say here. All right. It says, once I lied, I continued to lie. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Alex Murdaugh gets emotional on the stand while apologizing to his family, including his wife Maggie and son Paul, who he is accused of murdering. All right, so let's watch Alex Murdaugh. Let's see what he's getting into on the stand here. There he is. All right, here we go. Let's see what he has to say.
On June the 7th, I wasn't thinking clearly.
Yeah.
I don't think I was capable of reason. And I lied about being down there. And I'm so sorry that I did. I'm sorry to my son Buster.
The one that's still alive.
I'm sorry to Grandma and Papa T.
There's Buster. Look at him.
I'm sorry to both of our families.
Buster's not going to have any inheritance. His dad's blowing through the inheritance with this legal defense.
Most of all, I'm sorry to Mags and Pawpaw. I would never intentionally do anything to hurt either one of them.
But you did. But you did.
Ever.
So
Never.
what are you saying? It was the drugs? Intentionally? You were on drugs? You've admitted you're a drug addict.
Because you continued lying after that night, did you not?
But once I lied, I continued to lie. Yes, sir.
Why?
You know, oh, what a tangled web we weave. But once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
Sit in it, you piece of garbage. All right, there is Alex Murdaugh on the stand today. You got to understand about this family. I don't know how close you've been following this family. You know, we've seen depictions of families like this in Hollywood movies. You know, anytime a small town is depicted, there's always like that one family in the small town, you know, with the Potters or whoever, you know, they run everything. They're the big, powerful. That's what this Murdaugh family has been since going all the way back to the time of the Revolution. In this particular, the low country, lowland, whatever they call it, this area of South Carolina, the Murdaugh family has been incredibly influential, incredibly powerful, probably the most powerful family in the county. And so this guy, Alex, he grew up with all of that. He grew up as the crown prince of, so you just know he's an a-hole. I mean, certainly all of the stories that we've heard about his own children and the way they behaved, they're a-holes. They're just rich kid a-holes. So this is a guy we're seeing on the stand who, until the last year or two of his life, has never had any pushback in any way, shape, or form on anything that he's ever wanted. He's just a rich kid. He gets what he wanted. You know, he wants the fancy sports car in high school. He got the fancy sports car in high school. He threw all the big, crazy, cool parties, and he wouldn't let you show up, right? Because he's the cool guy. I don't know. I have no sympathy for him. I hope they throw the book at him, but I got to tell you, I don't think he's going to be convicted. I think he's comfortable enough in his high-priced dream team assemblage of attorneys are comfortable enough having him go on the stand and say that he lied. You don't do that. You don't ever say that you lied. And not in a court of law. Are you kidding me? That in and of itself brings additional charges. But he did. He went on. They're confident. They know that he's going to get away with this. They're not going to get him for these murders. I just don't feel it. I know he did it, which is why, you know, it's so frustrating. But I don't think they're going to get him. All right. Moving on. That's my prediction. That's why Alex Murdaugh is trending today, because he took the stand. Emily Kors is trending again. We need to shut this woman up. This woman, Emily Kors, is such a fool. And she is just enjoying her 15 minutes. And Emily Kors is the foreperson. I guess we used to call it a foreman of the jury. But she's the foreperson. She's 30 years old. She is between jobs, and she is a full-time influencer now. That's her new job. And she really received a kickstart to her new career, because she decided on being an influencer after her term, 8 months. She spent 8 months as the foreperson on this grand jury, looking into President Trump and President Trump's people and their attempt to tamper with the Georgia election results. So 8 months she's been the foreperson of this jury. And they finally finished up. They finished their thing. And the judge sealed everything that was in, you know, the conclusion to the grand jury. So we're going to find out about it. You know, it's going to come out, but the judge has sealed it. This idiot, this Emily, is her name Emily? Wait, what is her name? Ugh. God, I want to make sure we get her idiot name right. Yeah, it's Emily. Emily Kors. Emily Kors is going out and giving interviews as the foreperson, and she's giving cute little winks and nods at what we can expect to come, and she's really jeopardizing this whole thing. She is really just a foolish person. She spent 8 months of her life on this grand jury, and now, as soon as it's over, she's giving interviews to, I don't know who to talk to, Kate Baldwin. She's going on like MSNBC. CNN host Anderson Cooper and legal analyst Ellie Honig raised concerns on Tuesday about a spate of media appearances by the foreperson of the grand jury that investigated former President Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the 2020 presidential election in Georgia, blah, 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 blah. The foreperson, Emily Kors, has been interviewed by several news outlets, including CNN, about the grand jury's deliberations, offering coy and cryptic hints about who might be indicted. It's not a short list, she said on CNN earlier Tuesday, giggling of the list of recommended indictments. Asked if Trump was among them, she said, I really don't want to share something that the judge made a conscious decision not to share, but it was a process where we heard his name a lot. Giggle, giggle. I can't handle this broad. This chick needs to go away. She's going to screw this whole thing up. All she's going to do is provide any. Oh my God. She's doing it for clicks. She's doing it because she wants to be Emily Kors. Oh God. Oh, this is what we're doing. Hey, leading into this next big thing, this is taken on. This is a topic. I avoided this topic 2 days ago when it first came up, but boy, has it got legs. So why not? Let's get into it. The topic I'm talking about is the United States of America. They're going to have that conversation. They're going to get together around the kitchen table. Maybe they'll invite the kids. I don't know. I think this first meeting, it needs to just be Mama America and Daddy America. But they're going to talk about the national divorce. Oh, that's right. National divorce is trending. We're going to get a national divorce. That's a nice way to rebrand a civil deconstruction of the United States of America, because that is really what we're talking about here. A national divorce. Oh, shut your mouth, you stupid dummy. A national divorce. You want, okay, look, we're talking about succession. We're talking about splitting up the country. And I have always been hostile towards this conversation. I've always been angry. You know, this is not a new conversation. This is something people here in Texas, you got the idiot secessionists in Texas. Like, we can be our own country. Yeah, okay. Be your own third world country, but enjoy that. Go ahead. So I've always been sort of hostily against the notion of talking about a national divorce. But I tell you, in the last couple of years, I might be okay with it. I might be okay with it. How are we going to do it? How are we going to divide it up? Is it going to be on borders, like just North Mason-Dixon line type stuff? I don't see how that works, because that doesn't really work. You're going to have a lot of I don't know. But could it be better for society in general if we just had two completely different countries? Let one country, I'm not as hostile towards that conversation anymore. I think maybe, I don't know. I got a 13-year-old kid who's growing up in this country that is not great. Not a whole lot to be proud of about America. Certainly nothing about American unity. American unity isn't a thing. We're not all together. You know, I said yesterday it was the anniversary of Miracle on Ice. If Miracle on Ice was happening today, half the people in America would be rooting for the Russians. They would. They absolutely would. There was this unified idea that we were America back then. We were one people. We saw the world in one way, and damn anybody who steps against us. That's what it was. Now it's, well, now it's just a whole bunch of bad actors out there with positions of influence who are putting out conversations that dumb people are processing because they're hearing it said by otherwise smart people. And now suddenly there are conversations and narratives going around where people are like, maybe we could be two different countries. Okay, so I'll bite into that. Let's talk about us being two different countries. What would happen? So, I mean, I guess right off the bat, you would have I mean, are we talking about this like the South and the North? Because I don't think we are. I really don't think we are. I think that there are parts of Northern California that would absolutely want to be in league with Alabama and Florida, right? And there are parts of Georgia that would absolutely want to be in league with Los Angeles and New York City. So I don't know. I don't know how you would even begin because we're all mixed up. It's why neighbors are arguing with neighbors. National divorce. Every time you hear that, just think they're talking about a civil war. They're talking about breaking up the United States. Are we too big? I don't know. I mean, you know, we had the Berlin blockade situation, where Berlin was cut in two. Berlin was the entirety of Berlin was located in communist East Germany, right? There was West Germany and there was East Germany. But both the West and the East wanted a stronghold in Berlin. But Berlin, according to the way they broke up Germany, was entirely in East Berlin. So they cut Berlin in half. And inside of East Berlin, there was that wall, the Berlin Wall. Could we do that in America? Is that what we're going to have in America? Are we going to have like certain cities, certain forward, progressive thinking major cities staying blue and putting up walls to keep them, secluded from the rest of their state that they don't really agree with? I could see Houston doing that. I could see Houston putting a wall up and saying, all right. I could see Austin doing that. We're not part of Texas anymore. The rest of Texas wants to go one way. We're going to be in league with New York and California. I don't know. It's not as simple as just North and South anymore. It's a very complicated thing, but maybe we should have that very complicated conversation. Sam Bankman-Fried is trending again. Sam Bankman-Fried. He's the FTX guy. He's the crypto dude who pulled a scam. He ran like a stock market for crypto, right? That's as it's been explained to me, because I'm not smart on the crypto thing. So he ran basically like a stock market thing. But then he had other businesses, and some of his other businesses weren't doing well. So he was taking money out of the stock market crypto thing that he ran, and he was funding his other business. And that's basically what he got in trouble for. He's looking at 4 new fraud charges. Disgraced FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried faces 4 additional criminal charges of conspiracy contained in a superseding indictment that was unsealed on Thursday. The new charges include conspiracy to commit bank fraud and conspiracy to operate an unlicensed money transfer business. That's what he was doing. He was transferring his money from the FTX exchange, where people were putting their money in to support, the crypto exchange and all that stuff. He was taking that money. Anyway, there you go. That's why Sam Bankman-Fried is in the news again. He's in more trouble. There's a big Bowie museum. David Bowie, the Bowie Museum is trending. Oh boy, isn't this exciting. David Bowie is, there's a new David Bowie documentary that's out called Moonage Daydream. I've been hearing for months about, it's such a magnificent depiction of what David Bowie offered, both culturally and from just a more pedestrian level. His art cannot be, it's just, so I'm hearing this Moonage Daydream is good. So I finally get a chance to watch it, and I'm watching like 20 minutes of it, and I'm like, this sucks. This isn't a documentary about David Bowie. This is just like some art student. This is like an art student's final project. Anyway, I was disappointed because I definitely like David Bowie. David Bowie's iconic striped suit will be among 80,000 items that are on display at a center. And it's spelled, how would you think we'd spell center? C-E-N-T-E-R? Nope. This is the British version. They spell center, C-E-N-T-R-E, which is much cooler, I think. I think that's much cooler. It'll be on display at the David Bowie Center. The iconic striped suit will be among 80,000 David Bowie-related items to go on display when a center devoted to the rock star opens. The Sound and Vision collection features handwritten lyrics, letters, music, costumes, photographs, films, videos, set designs, interviews, albums, artworks, and awards. Oh, David Bowie Museum. Instruments owned by the star, who died in 2016, will also be included. It will all be housed at the David Bowie Center for the Study of Performing Arts, which is due to open at the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in Stratford, East London in 2025. Now, that's interesting because David Bowie's getting his cool-ass museum, and he's getting his cool-ass museum at some place called Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in Stratford, East London. I mean, that sounds like a good address. That sounds like if you're a rock star and you're going to have a rock star museum dedicated to you, that might be a cool address. You know who doesn't got that? Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's museum is at the Tulsa airport or somewhere near the Tulsa airport. How did that happen? My friend went through the Tulsa airport recently, and he called me and he goes, why is there a Bob Dylan? Why is there the official national Bob Dylan museum? Why is it in the Tulsa airport? And I go, I don't know, but I looked it up. So David Bowie's getting one in a much cooler location. definitely not the Tulsa airport. I mean, look, I'm not a big Bob Dylan fan, but, I can take the 30,000-foot view and I can say that Bob Dylan is every bit the iconic superstar that David Bowie is. So why is his museum in an airport in Tulsa, a city that, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't have any real. Does it? I mean, I guess Tulsa. I guess Oklahoma has like what? Will Rogers and was like Woody Guthrie from there, maybe as an influence on. I don't get it. I don't get why I don't get why Bob Dylan's museum is in the Tulsa airport, but it is. There is new polling. Oh, isn't this exciting? New polling on the LGBTQ community. Did they add a letter since last night? I don't know. Do I have that right? They keep adding letters. First it was just like first it was just LG, I think. I think it was just the LG community, lesbian and gay. And then they added the B, and it was LGB, and it was lesbian, gay, and bisexual. Then they added the T, and then it became LGBT, and now it's LGBTQ, queer, which I think may stop. They may put an end to adding new letters because queer is sort of all-encompassing. US LGBTQ identification is steady at 7.2%. Okay, so what that means is that 7.2% of people out there, just under 1 in every 10, identify as some form of LGBTQ. After showing perceptible increases in 2020 and 2021, U.S. adult identification as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or something other than heterosexual held steady in 2022 at 7.2%. What did they think it was going to go down? What is it going to go down? It's not going to go down. It's going to go up. The current percentage is double what it was when Gallup first measured LGBT identification a decade ago. The data are based on aggregated polling from a 2022 Gallup telephone survey encompassing interviews with over 10,000 U.S. adults. In each survey, Gallup asks respondents if they identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or something else, allowing them to choose multiple identities. In addition to the 7% identifying as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or trans, 86% of U.S. adults say they are straight or heterosexual, while 7% choose not to answer the question. What do you mean not going to answer the question? Okay. What are you just trying to screw up the results? This is a fact-finding mission. We're trying to figure out exactly, what do you mean you're not going to answer? Are you straight or are you not straight? Just answer the damn question. 7%. I don't feel comfortable answering that. Okay, so I'm going to put you down as gay then. Because if you don't feel comfortable, I'm just going to put you down as gay. As is typically the case, the greatest share of LGBTQ adults, more than half, or 4.2% of all U.S. adults, identify as bisexual. Taking the easy way out, are you? You're just a pervert. You're bisexual, you're just a pervert. You just like sex, you take it anywhere you can get it. That's what bisexual is. I used to not think bisexual was real. I used to think that if you were a guy who identified as bisexual, you were just a gay guy who wasn't comfortable being completely and publicly out as gay. I was wrong about that. I think bisexual is a thing now. And I just think that it's just super perverts. I just think people who just want to have sex with anything are bisexual. Hey, more power to you. I'm not judging. I don't care. And whatever. But I just know that I couldn't, like, everyone says, well, you're either born that way or, it's a choice. Nah, I think you're born that way. I really do. And the thing I always come back to with, are you born gay or do you just, decide you're going to be gay? See, nowadays that's different because back 20, 30 years ago, the question, made sense. It was like, well, you just don't want to admit you're gay. In the 1990s, that was a very real thing. People had to stay in the closet. Not anymore. 2023, it's almost like a bonus to you in some, so if you're gay, come out and admit it. So anyway, so I think that bisexuals though, I think bisexuals are real. They just don't, they don't care. They're just going to have sex with anything. They just want to have sex. They just want to, let's see here. As is typically the case, the greatest share of LBGT adults, more than 4.2, identifies bisexual. About 1 in 5 LGBT adults identify as gay. About 1 in 7 say they are lesbian. A slightly fewer than 1 in 10 identify as transgender. So of people who identify as one of the LGBTQ, only 1 in 10 identify as transgender. So even among that group of people, only 1 in 10 identify as transgender. It's interesting, not because that's not a really big number. And it seems like it would be a bigger number considering how much we talk about the trans problem in this country, which maybe you've guessed, I'm not convinced is a problem, but okay, whatever. 5% of LGBTQ adults identify as something other than lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. Oh God, what are they identifying as? In 2022, Gallup, for the first time, recorded the preferred identity of those who indicated they were something other than heterosexual, besides the traditional lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender identities. Most of these individuals said they were queer, pansexual, or asexual. Roughly 1 to 2% of LGBTQ adults identified this way. All right, there you go. All right, do we feel we know the gay number? The gay, the lesbian, they're out there. They're out there. God love them. Now we got some numbers from the Gallup organization. That was interesting. I found those numbers to be interesting. Like I was saying, like before in the 90s, it was difficult. Like if you were asked, are you gay? You might say no because you didn't want to come out. And then today it seems like, if you're asked that same question, you might jump at the chance to announce I'm gay, right? Because there's not exactly the dangers that were once, surrounding that thing coming out. Like I wonder if like now, okay, so basically I used to say that you couldn't fake it, that it wouldn't be the kind of thing you could fake because I didn't understand how I could fake it because I'm just not wired. And like I couldn't pretend to be gay. I couldn't pretend to have sex with a guy because there's just things that wouldn't work, right? Like there's like, it wouldn't work. My brain wouldn't go there. So that's why I always thought, yeah, you gotta be born that way. It's gotta just be something that's in you because I don't think I could fake a bunch of Viagra. I don't know, whatever. Are there drugs involved? Who knows what I could get to, but I'm just telling you as a straight normal guy, I don't think I could fake that. But today, because it's sort of, it makes you interesting. When you come out as gay, okay, you're interesting. You're not necessarily, it's not like it was in the 80s where you're going to get, kicked on the playground. Now it's probably got a whole posse. You probably got a whole group of people now that you can, hang out with. But I'm wondering if today, like, could these numbers be skewed because people might be faking that they are gay? You know what I mean? Like today, I think that's more of a actual possibility than people faking being gay in 1995. Today, I think people there's a motivation maybe, because again, it makes you interesting, makes you stand out. Yeah, I'm gay. And maybe you're not. I don't know. Anyway, we could go through those numbers. I love those kinds of polls. Brian Koberger, here's a dude I don't love. None of us should. Brian Koberger's in the news. Brian Koberger's the guy who killed all those beautiful young people there in Utah. Idaho. I don't know. Was it Idaho? It was Idaho, right? The college, remember, we were following this, and it turns out it's weirdo Brian Koberger doing all this stuff. He's trending again because it's been revealed that he was carrying around in his phone pictures of one of the victims. We don't know which one. Somebody here suggests that it's Madison Mogan, the picture of one of the victims that he was carrying around in his phone. Shortly after his November 13th, 2022 slayings, the case made national headlines. News coverage exploded and tens of thousands of social media sleuths flocked to Facebook, Reddit, and other outlets to discuss every detail. Pennsylvania police arrested Koberger at his parents' house in the Poconos on December 30th. When they took his phone, they allegedly found multiple pictures of one of the 4 victims, who were all 20 or 21 years old. All right, we're not hearing much about Koberger anymore these days, but now it turns out that for some reason, he had pictures in his phone. I don't know, man. I think he was stalking. I think he was stalking one of them. I think Brian Koberger had been banned, kicked out of 2 bars and a coffee shop on the university campus where he lived. So it would make sense that maybe he would travel over to the next town. The next town over also had a major university. So maybe he would start going to those bars. We know that this Madison Mogert was a waitress at one of these bars. He may have seen her there. Tay liked her, whatever, decided to stalk her. I don't know. Developing ... as they say. Aaron Rodgers is trending. Aaron Rodgers. Oh, this guy. I don't know what to make of this guy. I really don't. Because on the one hand, I hate him because he's a Green Bay Packer and he completely owns my team. In my history of being a Chicago Bear fan, there is not one single quarterback who has done more to just break my soul than Aaron Rodgers. So on that level, on the competitive level, I hate his guts and I want him gone. I don't care that he's almost 40 years old. I want him out of the division. Get him out of here. Let's let the Jordan Love era begin in Green Bay. I'm looking forward to that. But Aaron Rodgers has emerged from his 4 days in seclusion. Aaron Rodgers announced he's got some big decisions to make. Is he going to be a free agent? He's going to re-sign he's going to retire. He doesn't know. He's all over the place. So he decided that he's going to go into 4 days of seclusion, like a dark box. Like he's going to go into like a hole for 4 days in complete seclusion. No outside noise, no sound, no nothing. He's doing drugs. He's not talking about that. Like he's totally taking the ayahuasca, which is fine. He should be allowed to do whatever he wants to do. He's Aaron Rodgers, for crying out loud. What's the point of being rich and famous and Aaron Rodgers if you can't just climb into a hole and do a whole bunch of mushrooms for 4 days? I mean, come on, leave him alone. So we've been waiting for him to come out of his hole. He's out of his hole now. He came out of the hole. I guess he's out. He did a bunch of mushroom or ayahuasca or whatever it is. Ayahuasca, I don't know, whatever it is. He did a bunch of hallucinogens because he's into that, which also complicates my relationship with Aaron Rodgers because I applaud his willingness to just talk about all of these attempts on his part to become a better human being. I do. People who Aaron Rodgers is a douchebag. Well, okay, maybe on the football field, and maybe he comes across to certain ears.
Bixby voice privacy contents have been updated. To continue, review the updated items on your screen.
I don't know what that's about. My phone is being weird. Okay. All right. Had to get a new phone.
Bixby voice privacy contents have been updated. To continue, review the updated items on your screen. I didn't understand that.
I don't know what I just agreed to. Stupid new phone. I hate the new phone. I hate the new phone because it's new. Because it's only been with me for a day now. And it's and I don't know how to work it. And it does things like that. All right, so Aaron Rodgers. So shut up and stop it. So Aaron Rodgers, who I hate because he's good at football and he's really good against my team. So I got all that. But man, I mean, I don't know. Every time I hear him talk, I don't get as angry as I think a lot of my other fellow Bear fans get, or just people in general. Like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is a bad guy. I think that Aaron Rodgers is at a place in his life where he's able to have choices and experiment with certain things and certain decisions in a way that most of us aren't afforded the luxury of. Is he a weird guy? Yeah, he's a weird guy. Of course he's a weird guy. He's been playing a children's game for 40 years. He's been made an immense celebrity based on this children's game. Nobody says no to Aaron Rodgers in his everyday life. Every room that he walks into, it's Aaron Rodgers. Dude goes for a Slurpee at the 7-Eleven and people are like, hey, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, yeah, he's a weird guy. That makes you weird. That makes you different than normal people. But is he dangerously weird? I don't know. I think he's interesting. And he's out. He came out of his little drug-induced hole in the ground. And that's why Aaron Rodgers is trending. He hasn't said anything. Like he hasn't, emerged with the secrets of nuclear fission or anything like that. But, we'll find out. We'll find out if he's going to re-sign with Green Bay, retire from the NFL, or jump into free agency. Lotto, Mega Millions, from a couple of weeks back. Remember, there was like that $1.5 billion Mega Millions prize, and then one person, one dude in Maine, Maine is taking this kind of, oh my God. So a dude in Maine won it. And then they immediately went into hiding because, you got to build up your fortresses and you got to protect yourself and all that stuff. So he goes into hiding. And now they've emerged, and now there's some details on what do you get. So he won $1.35 billion, $1.35 billion in the Mega Millions jackpot. And he is now, it's all clear. He got the check. He's out the door. He's ready to live his life. So on 1.35 billion, excuse me, he's taken home less than 500 million, which, that's great. Don't get me wrong. I could do a lot of damage with 500 million. But man, that seems like a lot, doesn't it? It seems like a whole lot. Mega Millions jackpot winner in Maine, who scored 1.35 billion, has come forward. They're going to take home 498 million after choosing a one-time payment of 723 million. Around 173.6 million will go to federal taxes. See, that's how they get the rich people money. You got to get the rich people just when they become rich, right? Just the minute you become, then you take all their money. If this people who are worth $500 million do not pay 173 million in taxes. They just don't. This guy does. Well, because we got him right out the door. 51 million is going to state taxes. So there you go. 51 million to state taxes there in Maine. Win that ticket here in Texas or Florida, you don't have to pay that 51 million. That's in your pocket. The winner of the fourth largest jackpot in U.S. history has come forward to claim their payout, but they'll be taking home just 498 million. All right, you know what? I'm done. Just. Don't tell me that just 490 million. I get it. It is kind of shocking because it's like wait a second. I won 1.35 billion and now I'm walking out of here with 498 million. Where did the other 800 million go? That's 800 million. All right. I mean, it makes sense. I get it. All right, guys, that's about it. That's all we got for today. Let's do that stupid thing at the end of each show where I jump on Twitter just to see what's happening. Twitter is useless for trends, which is why I do it at the end of the show, just in case anything pops up. Alex Murdaugh, we talked about him. He's trending at number 1. Selena is trending. I don't know why Selena is trending. Vance Joseph is R. Kelly. Why is R. Kelly trending? That's fun. R. Kelly. Whole lot of Pete Buttigieg. A whole lot of transportation secretary getting trashed on Twitter today. Singer R. Kelly has been sentenced to an additional 20 years in prison on charges of child pornography, but only 1 year will be served. I don't know what that means. Singer R. Kelly, already serving 30 years for sex trafficking, has been sentenced to 20 years in prison on federal child porn charges. That's such a weird thing, man. Ugh. Like, I have questions about these people. Like R. Kelly, like he's into child porn, okay? But again, see, I don't even want to go. Is this even a conversation that I need to be thinking about? Like, what is he like? What like it's almost like I would cut some slack. And trust me, I ain't about cutting any slack for this kind of thing. But it's almost like less gross, although totally gross. He's like a 50-something-year-old pop star. If you were to tell me that these were like 17-year-old girls who were seniors in high school and all that, because you could make, and then if, I see them and I'm like, okay, well, that looks like a woman. That looks like a young woman. So maybe for him, it's all about the mental acuity. It's all about the emotional maturity of the individual. He's not necessarily attracted to like babies. I mean, but he's attracted to women, but he likes the women to be, inexperienced and dumb so that he can, manipulate them. All right, so if that's one thing I could go, okay, well, that's a fucked up thing and he deserves to be in prison for that. But it's not as bad as if like you're telling me that he is sexually attracted to babies, right? That's like, I can't even wrap my mind around that. Look, being honest, I mean, I've seen girls she's only 17, you know what I mean? And it's like, and they're walking around like 25-year-old strippers. So it's like, okay, I can understand how a man might see that and go, well, she doesn't look like a child. She looks like a grown ass woman. And that's where the attraction comes from. But when you start getting, when the attraction is, the pigtails and the braces and the book bag and the, oh, daddy, now you're talking about weird stuff. It's all criminal. It's all odd. It's all, a depiction of a broken individual. But again, I do think that there are differences. Anyway, R. Kelly. Don't need to go off on an R. Kelly thing. We need to all just forget about R. Kelly, I think. Although he does have some bangers. Separating that art from the artist is really difficult with people like R. Kelly. Joy Behar is trending. I don't care. You care why she's trending? I don't care why she's trending. Barney Fife is trending. Why is Barney Fife trending? Oh, they're going to use a Barney Fife reference to make fun of some cop somewhere. I don't know. Okay, don't know why Barney Fife is trending. There's nothing else. God, this is so useless. I'll tell you. Twitter trends are just so useless. If Twitter trends are a true indication of what the human population is finding interesting right now, you don't need me to tell you we're doomed. Santa Cruz. Why is Santa Cruz trending? Whenever I see just a random name of a town trending, I always get a little bit, okay, here we go. What somebody walk into an auto parts store in Santa Cruz and start killing people? Nope. It's because it's snowing. It is snowing in Santa Cruz. That's why. Okay. I predicted this. Everybody in Southern California, they're going to start tweeting snow. It's snowing. Galveston is trending. Oh, this is kind of funny. Galveston is trending because somebody, here, I'll show you. Well, actually, do I need to show you this? Yeah, I suppose I can show you this. So Galveston is trending because somebody put up a picture of the south of France. And they said, and they just started talking about Galveston, about how it's the best kept secret in Texas. And, if everybody knew how beautiful Galveston was, and they're showing a picture of the south of France. They're not showing a picture of Galveston. They're trying to make people think that Galveston looks like that. Here, I'll show you the tweet. Here it is. This is the tweet that started it. Oh, these kind of duplicitous fools. All right, look at this. All right, so here's the picture of the south of France. And somebody tweeted, look at how beautiful Galveston, Texas is. It's the best kept secret in all of Texas. So now, of course, people are tweeting all kinds of like silly things like here. What's this one? All right, so Amelia here, she's showing a beautiful picture of what is obviously the Swiss Alps, and she's claiming that this is Texas A&M campus. So look at how beautiful the Texas A&M campus is. It's the best kept secret in Texas. All right, so that's why Galveston is trending. What else? Somebody having a little fun with Galveston. Galveston's fine. I've been to Galveston. You can have a fun weekend in Galveston, but it's shitty. I mean, if you've ever been anywhere where it's not shitty, you know that, it's like a couple of blocks of beaches and then a whole bunch of snow. It's like going to the beach. It's like going to West Beach. If you're from Chicago, right? And you go to West Beach because you want to get away from the downtown beaches and all that. You want to get away from the city and the buses and all that. And you want to kind of go out to a more rural beach. You go out to West Beach, the Indiana Dunes. And even then, the beach is like nestled between two steel mills. So on either side of you, you see the smokestacks and the steel mills. That's what Galveston is. Come on, man. We ain't talking about the beaches of South Florida. We ain't talking about Hawaii or the Caribbean. We're talking about Galveston. Yes, it's a nice place. Get away for the weekend. You have a wonderful time. But it sure as shit ain't the south of France. I never even been to the south of France. Well, I mean, I've watched races from the south of France, like Formula One car races and stuff. And it seems very nice. It doesn't seem at all like Galveston. All right, that's going to do it, folks. We are out of content for today's show. We'll be back tonight at 9 o'clock for Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk. Not sure if we got a guest on tonight. We'll see. I can't believe it's already Thursday. You know what? It's so weird because that Monday where we took Monday off, start of the week, it felt like Wednesday all day today. And it turns out it's Thursday. I need to know the day of the week, considering that this high noon stream is all about the day of the week. And I went into half of it thinking it was still Wednesday when it's Thursday. So join us tonight, 9 o'clock. Myself and James Parker, Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk. Tip the show if you can. We'd appreciate it. This show runs on your contributions. Treat me like your bartender. Treat me like your valet. Drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App. Much appreciated. That'll be it. We'll see you tonight at 9 o'clock. Pugs and Parker. And then tomorrow again for more High Noon. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Radio Misfits podcast platform, radiomisfits.com. Bye, everybody. To be on guard, that is understood. It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I have got an old guitar, that is all I need. I don't need no 401, I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day, the best is yet to come. I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I can smile a little now, things are going